whatnot. I don't get it. I'm such a moron sometimes. Whatnot. I don't get it. I'm such a moron sometimes.
Told of a creature that was 6.5 to 7 feet tall.
The CIA ran secret mind control experiments.
It's a tale of a creature that's been seen by many, but believed by few.
And experts say there have been reported sightings of paranormal activity.
And there was this creature, and it ran down this hill.
They say something was flying over their house, and they have no idea what it was.
How the world's most powerful individuals are actually shape-shifting reptilians.
My scariest ghost hunting experience.
All right, we're off to a great start here. It is Wednesday night. This is Paranormal IRL. I'm your host, JV, co-host Britt Griffith, who's shaking his head in disgust. What's going on, my friend? What is happening over there?
You obviously have way too much time on your hands.
Why
so not only am I getting sucked up by the UFO for probing of orifices,
Yes,
you now have Bigfoot carrying me off to the cave for probing of orifices, and
true.
then you have me saying what a moron I am to get captured by the UFO and Bigfoot in the same opening.
And the ghost hauls you away as well. So a little bit of everything.
Oh, I missed
there.
the ghost.
Yeah, that's the last of the trio.
I was
there.
too busy shaking my head.
Yeah. Well,
I missed the ghost.
You're very welcoming of all these paranormal phenomena and experiences, and they recognize that. You're like a paranormal magnet, so they find you and they take advantage of you. Apparently.
Yeah, apparently. Or this is your weird fantasy. I don't know what goes on inside your head. I don't know if I want to be there.
No fantasies involved. No fantasies.
I mean, because I've seen you with your shirt off, and
wait,
you're
where's
Italian.
this going?
You could be Bigfoot.
I am.
You
Italian.
could be Bigfoot.
I'm actually one of the less hairy Italians you'll ever meet. I was actually
Yes, I will agree with that.
With not like my uncles, like incredible. Like they need a lawnmower to take care of that business. But not me. So anyway, I don't know why.
So
why did you lead me down these paths? You're like, come on, JV, we're gonna go down and we're gonna talk about back hair or something. I don't know how we get here, but that's not the intention of the show tonight.
Well, no. Is any show ever back hair intended? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's true.
But It's just the way my brain works. You have me being hauled up by Bigfoot, so I then extrapolate Bigfoot to this weird fantasy in your head and that you're Italian and have some hairy baggage. So maybe you're thinking you're Bigfoot hauling me off, and I don't know if I want to be a part of that.
Yeah, no, okay. I'm just going to clear that up for you now. That is not what I was thinking when I put those together. By the way, welcome to everybody who's joining us in all of the chat rooms. Great to see people filing in. We have a terrific, absolutely fantastic show for you tonight. In just a minute or so, we're going to bring in our guest, Lester Velez. He's going to be talking about a group that he co-founded called OPUS. What are you laughing about now? What is funny?
He probably hung up and said, I'm done with this shit.
I know. Scared him
These
off.
guys are weird.
Yeah. But he's a co-founder of a group. It's the acronym is OPUS, and it stands for, I got to find it here so I don't get it wrong. It is the Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support. Now, one of the things that a lot of people, particularly when it comes to UFO interactions, that seems to be the one that really, when you get into abduction experiencers and all that, this is the type of thing that people find themselves to be very affected by. And often they don't know where to reach out and how to handle some of this, whether it's mental trauma, could be physical trauma, all of those things. And Lester is going to tell us about OPUS, and it's an organization that's designed to help people who've had any kind of paranormal experience. And he's got a background specifically and a lot of experience with MUFON and ufology, and that's actually very timely because we're going to talk a little bit about what Congress heard. Was it yesterday, the day before, whenever it was the hearing? I think it was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Yes, and we're going to go over that a little bit too. So this is a very timely conversation, Britt. We're going to be talking about UFOs, all sorts of and manner of paranormal phenomena, how it affects people, and how this organization may be able to help.
Yeah, were you able to pull clips from the congressional, whatever the heck you want to call the wasting of our money?
Yeah, I grabbed a couple of clips. Sadly, I wasn't able to sit and listen from start to finish. I have the whole hearing downloaded, and I'm going to do that. I did grab a few quick clips that we can talk about, and I found them just the limited time I had to look through it very interesting, and I'm very anxious to hear what Lester has to say about them too.
I just find it amazing you had enough time to have Bigfoot carry me off and do that. But
I have priorities. I have priorities, and the Bigfoot carrying you
I know
away
your
was one.
now.
Yeah. So, but anyway, getting back to our guest tonight, we've got him for about an hour tonight before you go into back air again. Lester is a graduate of the University of Vermont with a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration. He's served in the U.S. Army. He joined MUFON, which is the Mutual UFO Network, in 1991. He's held many positions in that organization, including field investigator, training coordinator for field investigators, the assistant state director in Northern California, chairman of the AERC, which is the Abduction Experiencer Research Committee, and team leader of the ART, which is the Abduction Response Team. Also during that time, he
Not to be confused with the AARP.
That's something very different that I am getting mail for and from now, which I don't know what I think about that. Anyway, also during that time, he became a facilitator for an abduction support group in San Jose, California. And in 1994, he co-founded OPUS. That's the group we've been talking about. It's the Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support. So, Les, welcome to the program. It's a real honor to have you here with us tonight. I'm really anxious to not only talk about the group and why you helped found this group and what its mission is, but also some of the experiences you've had with MUFON. I mean, you've got a lot of experience in your belt. This is going to be a great discussion tonight.
Well, thank you very much, guys, for having me here. And I want to just say that, in your intro where you have the alien, Sasquatch, and a ghost appear on your screen, well, guess what? They're all connected. They're all absolutely connected, because what we've found in working with people is that they often talk about the fact that they've had a sighting of Sasquatch. But then there's also been a UFO involved with it. There's also been ghosts involved with aliens. I mean, it's amazing. Not only do they see grays, which seems to be the number one thing, you have orbs, and then you have interdimensionals, and then ghosts. So I tell you, all of this quote unquote paranormal is connected in some way, shape, or form. And the one thing I really would like to ask you, JV, is how the hell do you get to be Italian with the last name of Johnson?
It's a very fair question. And obviously my dad, not Italian. My mother, born in Naples, Italy, came here as a child. So that's how it works. And I grew up in the Italian environment, so I do consider myself Italian. But you're right. Good question. And I've been asked that a million times because Johnson is the furthest thing from Italian.
So thank God we solved that problem right there, right away.
And that was certainly high on the paranormal list because it just seems so strange.
Yeah.
Les, I'm really glad you brought up that point because this seems to be, I'll call it a school of thought for a lack of a better way to describe it, but it seems to be an idea that is becoming more and more accepted among paranormal researchers and folks that follow these individual phenomena. They start to recognize that when you have one occurrence of a phenomena, whether, as you said, a Bigfoot sighting, all of a sudden there's reports of, as you said, a UFO or even some kind of other cryptid, maybe a dogman sighting or, a spiritual occurrence, ghost or otherwise. So more and more people are starting to recognize this pattern and these connections, and they're starting to accept these ideas that maybe there's a single source for all of this.
Absolutely. When you start really getting, to talk to these people and understanding the types of things they've gone through, it's not just one thing that's happening. Portals open up. You have strange lights that appear, orbs that come into the room that sometimes go into people's bodies and cure people from various things. You have instances of orbs also causing harm. That latest book that came out by George Knapp and Combe Keller, Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, talks about the types of things that go on. But I mean, this phenomena is so complicated and so rich with different things. I mean, people that have had these experiences come away being psychic. They come away with healing abilities. I was at the MUFON Symposium last year in Vegas and gave a presentation to the Experiencer group in the morning, and Robert Salas was there with his wife, the major that was involved with the Malmstrom Air Force Base missile shutdown. And he came up to me afterwards and said, "Can we talk?" And I said, "Sure." And so he started to tell me about he and his wife had an experience and talked about this blue light coming into their bedroom and that, they had missing time and all these things that happened to them. And his wife came back from the experience with healing abilities, which she never had before.
Oh, wow.
I mean, this is just phenomenal, that, we have this UAP report that came out last June, and everybody got pretty excited about it. Obviously, the fact that the government is now supposedly going to get involved with this phenomena, but they've been involved with the phenomena for a long time, and they're blowing smoke up our tailpipes, saying, "Well, we don't know." I mean, this congressional hearing that just came out, there was some really good questions, but a lot of crappy answers.
Yeah.
that came out of this whole thing. But the bottom line, where I'm coming from with this whole phenomena, is the fact that when I was a field investigator, most of the cases that I got involved with not only were sightings, but they turned out to be abductions. And then these people said to me, "Do I know of other people having similar circumstances?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And I began to facilitate this support group. And that's when things really got interesting. To have people tell their stories, and you could see that they were so incredibly upset about the circumstances that had occurred to them, and that they were reaching out for someone to have empathy about their experiences. And a lot of these people had already gone to psychologists or psychiatrists and found out that, well, they're not crazy. They think they might be crazy, but they're not crazy. So then what? Where do they go? Who do they turn to? They have, they can't even talk to family members. They can't talk to clergy. They certainly can't talk to people at where they work. because they fear that they might lose their job because people would think they're crazy. So it's a really hard place for these people, to try to understand what's happening to them. First of all, why is it happening to them, which is a major question that comes out all the time, and what can they do about it? So one of the sessions that occurred which was fomented the beginning of Opus, was I had been written up in the Monterey Coast Weekly paper about what I did for MUFON. And another woman was also written up in the article, and I got a call from her afterwards. She said, I would love to understand what's going on with my brain waves when I'm in contact with these off-earthly entities. And so I said, okay, that's an interesting question. And, I had no idea how I could possibly help her. And then she said she was working with an emergency room doctor down in Carmel. And I said, okay, that's very interesting to me. And I had a doctor friend, Dr. Eugene Lipson, who actually was the co-founder with me of Opus. And he was very interested in meeting other doctors that were interested in the phenomena. So I called him up, I told him about it. I said, come on, let's go down there and meet with her. So we did. One Saturday afternoon, we went down there. And as we walked in, there was a picture on the wall as we walked in, and it was her standing on the back of a large vessel. And I asked her, I said, what's this all about? She says, oh, yeah, I was down in the Caribbean, and I was helping these treasure hunters find treasure. And I said, well, how the hell were you doing that? And she says, well, I was in contact with the captain of the galleon that had gone down. So
wow.
that right away started the afternoon off in a very interesting note. And it got even more interesting because she started to tell us things about ourselves that there was no possible way she could know. We didn't know her from Adam, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And found out subsequently that she had a near-death experience, and afterwards became very psychic. So again, here's another aspect of the paranormal that people talk about that seems to be connected with this phenomena as well. You have near-death experiences, sightings of poltergeists, angels, demons. All of this stuff is just, so interconnected that it's hard to really separate it, and trying to then understand it becomes even more difficult.
Les, the answer to this question may be self-evident, but of all of the phenomenon, I've spoken on this program and in other endeavors with people that have had all sorts of paranormal experiences, everything from ghost encounters to UFO to encounters to being abductees to Bigfoot encounters, whatever it is, all manner. Yet the people that are most affected, the ones that really carry the weight of their experience are the abductees, even the ones that don't really remember the experience. Something is weighing on them, on their shoulders, in their minds. Do you have an idea of why that experience is so much more impactful than maybe some of these other ones that we've talked about?
Well, I think that when people, certainly when they have that first experience, it's impactful to everyone. And then it depends on the follow-up experiences. And usually over time, people come to a place. It's almost like there's three distinct phases of the experience. You have the initial phase, which universally seems to be very negative because it's mind-blowing. It's just shattering. I mean, all of a sudden you wake up on a cold table and you have these little gray aliens around you. But then it gets into the next phase where when these things continue, that people come to accept it. And then they come to find out that what is going on seems to be less negative, less malignant, if you will, than, more benevolent. And then in the later stages, as this continues, it eventually stops. And then it's almost like the Stockholm syndrome. People have the feeling, like, why are they not coming for me anymore? What happened? Um, and what we found in the studies that we've done is that there's like 70% of people are want these experiences to continue. And it's only that majority, 25 to 30%, that definitely want it to stop because they somehow have not had a good experience. And I think it depends on who the experience is with. And I think that just as we have good people and bad people here on our earth, between the population here, that the same thing goes on up there, or whatever it is, whether it's extraterrestrial, interdimensional, time travelers, or the military. You've got good ones and you've got bad ones. And even within races, whether it's the reptoids, the mantids, the greys, the Nordics, you probably have good ones and you have bad ones there as well. So it's very difficult to just make a blanket statement that they're all bad, as in the case of mostly what David Jacobs talks about and Bud Hopkins talked about versus Stephen Greer, which everybody's good and you don't have to worry about a thing.
Les, I'm going to ask you one more question, then let Britt take a few minutes here. But
oh no, not Britt.
I know. You're well prepared, obviously. You spent a lot of time. Obviously, you have deep ties in MUFON. You've done a lot of filled a lot of different roles in MUFON. Tell us a little bit about your experiences there, and which of those jobs, as I listed in the beginning of the program, the different roles you had within the organization. Which one did you find the most interesting?
Well, I think certainly working with the field investigators and doing the training with the field investigators, I brought in a number of really good people to make presentations. Virgil Staff was the state director up there for a long time and had really wonderful credentials, and a number of other people. Tom Macris, who was the forensic artist for the San Jose Police Department, talked about, how to interview people and, be able to he's actually got involved with me in a case where he did the drawing of this alien that this person saw. And it's an incredible drawing that he did. So that was the most interesting to me because of the fact that Richard Haynes was also made a presentation on observation. How do you really observe these things, and how you can be fooled by certain things. So there was a lot of interesting detail that came out in those sessions. So that for me was probably the most interesting, besides actually going out in the field and talking to people and understanding what was going on.
Fun times investigating. You learn so much. You meet some amazing people. You meet some crazy people, and you meet some super sane people. I'm going to circle back, Les, to the beginning, to what you talked about with Opus, and that you're there to help people. I'm old enough to remember. I'm not gonna assume your age, but I'm old enough to remember the days before that show was on TV, when you were looked at like you were crazy, and you couldn't talk about anything paranormal because they would look at you like you were crazy and they wouldn't want to talk to you. We had to stay in the closet. I remember the days of sitting around at the coffee shop with our little team going, how are we going to get into that building? And then that show hit and it's like the floodgates opened and we could help people. One of the first experiences I had that really opened my mind to how serious we have to take what we do was I literally had a homeowner, while we were standing in their driveway, tell us, our little team, that whatever we tell them, the outcome of our investigation is whether they sell their home or not. I mean, that they're going to make a major life financial decision on whether we find ghosts or not. When people were dropping that kind of heavy, in the beginning, way back when it was really taboo and you had to stay in the closet, how did you deal with people when they were going to make like a major decision on what you tell them? Was that heavy for you? Was that like really? What was that like for you?
Yeah, I think that when you have people come up, tell their story and say, I don't know where to turn anymore. I don't know what to do. I'm contemplating suicide. I mean, you talk about heavy, heavy stuff. And the one thing you need to do right away is make contact with that person. Understand that they are not alone in the world with their experiences, that other people are having these types of experiences, and that there is a vehicle like Opus, which has an online support group, which is totally confidential and which people can see at opusnetwork.org. And there's a support button there, and they can contact us through that button, and we will, within 24 hours, get a hold of you, get back to you, and try to do triage and find out, okay, is the support group what you need? Are you looking for a hypnotherapist? A lot of these people want to know really what happened to them because they don't have that full conscious memory of what had transpired. And then also people are looking for mental health practitioners, people familiar with PTSD, which is a big factor that occurs to these people. And once it's amazing. What I've found, what we found is that the support group is probably the most beneficial thing that these people can do because they can talk 24/7, and they are literally talking 24/7 because we have almost 300 people now in the support group from all around the world, from Africa, from Australia, from Europe, South America, and literally talking, sometimes having to translate things because of the language that's going on. But the bottom line is this thing is universal. This thing is not just the United States. The Roper organization in '92 came out with that report that Hopkins and Jacobs commissioned and Bigelow paid for that said there was 6 million people that had experiences back then. Well, fast forward in time, and how many more people have had the experience? And it's a worldwide thing. So, I mean, my latest theory is that every one of us, you JV, you Britt, have all had experiences, and in a lot of cases we don't remember them. And a story I'm going to tell you right now relates to me. One of the support group meetings that I had, a person said to me, I've seen you before. I said, really? At a UFO conference, the grocery store somewhere? No, I saw you on board the craft. I said, really? Oh, that's interesting. And I kind of blew it off. Well, it was a year and a half later that a totally different person said, I've seen you before. Oh, really? Where? UFO conference? They said, no. You were sitting on this bench naked on board the craft and you were freaking out. And they told me to go over to you to calm you down. Well, okay. So at this point, I decided, okay, I'm going to go get regressed. And because I had no conscious recollection of anything like that. And I had 3 different people regress me, found out nothing in terms of that, but found out I had multiple past lives. And subsequently, a person talked to me about this and said, well, perhaps this person somehow tapped into a past life and saw you in that regard, and that you had been abducted in a past life. Well, one of the people in my book, The Unknown Other, and the Existential Proposition of Alien Contact, that's on Amazon and on our website. Thank you very much. As Adam Burns, who talks about his experience with contact, and he talks about the telepathic communication that he was having with this alien, and they were talking about reincarnation, and that this is a universal fact. It's the way the universe operates. And so it started to, become more clear to me that perhaps something like that is possible and it could have happened. And again, once you start going down this rabbit hole, boy, there's so many different places you can go once you go down that hole.
Yeah, and let me know if this is what you've experienced. I found, and particularly in the beginning, before all the shows on TV, that people would tell your story, hey, X, Y, and Z happened. Now, for me, our group happened to be more geared toward the ghosty side of things. But they would say, hey, X, Y, and Z is happening. And we would go in and investigate. And we would go, yeah, X, Y, and Z did happen, but it's because the truck driving down the street over there, the reflection of the light off of this gate. And we debunk everything. And they're like, whew, okay, it was happening. I'm not crazy. I can live fine. But we also had the same thing happen when they would go, hey, X, Y, and Z happened. We would go in, and X, Y, and Z would happen. We wouldn't figure out what the hell that was all about. We would go out and tell them and said, hey, we just documented. Same response. Okay, I'm not crazy. I can live with this. I just want to make sure I wasn't crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what certainly a lot of people, most of the time, come to us and say, am I going crazy? Is this something that, I need to go see a psychiatrist or a psychologist? And in some cases, we'll tell them, yes, you probably should go there first and assess whether or not you are. but then afterwards, if they find out that they're not. So then what? What do you do then? And so, going back to your ghost story, my brother and his wife were living in Griswold, Connecticut for a while, and they completely redid a 1700s house in Griswold. Beautiful old house, and during that time, they found artifacts in the walls, an old cane and various things like that. And soon thereafter, they started to hear certain noises and things going on in the house. And then they heard or smelled jasmine in the house at certain times. And so my brother's wife came home with a couple of bags of groceries in their hands, and they had a part of the house on the side where they parked their cars, and there's a door there, and there's like a sitting room in there, and my brother was sitting supposedly in this big wingback chair, and she called out to him and said, "Can you open the door?" And nothing happened, and
the door opened.
And no, the door didn't open. So finally, she had to put the bags down, okay? And she opened the door and went in with the bags and looked in the chair. It wasn't my brother. It was this ghost sitting there in the chair, and this ghost would. There was a upper level to the house, and this ghost would walk around at night, and you could hear him stomping around. And he wasn't malevolent or anything. He just was hanging out. And there was I mentioned the smell of jasmine. Well, it turned out that this female ghost was also involved and would come into the room, and they would immediately smell jasmine, and they would see this wisp. She was sitting one morning at the foot of my brother and his wife's bed, freaked them out big time. But again, wasn't benevolent. So they understood it. They eventually sold the house, didn't say anything to anybody about the ghost, which you're supposed to do. And they heard after a while that the person that bought the house had gone to a party and said, excuse me, that does anybody know about the fact that there might be ghosts in the house? Because we've had some weird things going on. So it was confirmed. I mean, my brother and his wife saw it. So this happens.
Yeah, it's fun. Get yourself a drink. I had the same experience. That the house that my dad and stepmom owned when I was 17, 18, 19, off the charts haunted. That's where I had my first experiences, like full-on shadow figures, watching them go back and forth. Me, my brother, my stepbrother, we all had experiences. We found out numerous years later that my parents had experiences also, my dad and stepmom. But my dad tells a story. That home had been bought and sold in like 8 times in 20 years, some crazy amount. But the people that bought it from him, my dad ended up on a golf course. My dad didn't have a golf course, would walk on and just be a single, added to a group. ends up about 2 years later in a group with the guy who bought it, the home from them. And about the ninth hole, after they're a little juiced up from the liquor, the guy leans over to my dad and goes, "You ever noticed anything weird happening in that house?" My dad was like, "Oh, we didn't know nothing. We didn't hear nothing." Yeah, because he didn't disclose it either. But and then they sold pretty quick after that. So whatever was going on was interesting. So with your organization, and you're obviously talking to a lot of people, are you guys categorizing that, documenting it, putting it in a data set, cross-referencing? See, you get a group of people that are all telling the same story, and it's like, wow, are they connected somehow? And, are they 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon? Or do you guys do any of that kind of stuff?
Well, we are doing research, yes. Back in 2007, actually MUFON funded the study called the Omega-3 study, which is on our website under the document and article section. And basically we took 71 people that claimed to have had contact with these non-earthly entities, and 51 were a control group. And we found out that basically that they did not have a psychopathology. They were totally sane. They weren't fantasy prone. They had differences in their temporal lobe activity versus the control group, which is an interesting factor. Their worldview changed. They had childhood trauma. And hold on one second.
Oh, got a cough. Yeah. Well, while he's coughing, I want to thank the Grouch 79 and Foxhole for the cookie. We really appreciate the support. It helps us a lot and keeps the show on the air. We really appreciate it. You good to go, Les?
Yeah, good. And now we just finished the first phase of the Omega-4 study, where we sent out a questionnaire to therapists that are working with contactees, experiencers. And then the second phase of that will be going out to the clients themselves. And so we're asking a whole cohort of different questions that ever been asked before. And what the purpose of all of this is to try to better understand what works best and educate therapists in how to work with these people. Because one of the things that's going on right now is that the mental health community, in most cases, is not tuned into this whole phenomena and does not know how to work with these people, and which is tragic because a lot of these organizations, whether it's the psychiatric community or the psychological community, basically have issues with their therapists and their organizations working with people like this. And so a lot of these therapists don't want to advertise the fact that they're working with, these experiencers. And so we're trying to overcome that. But to answer your question, we haven't done anything in regard to, quote unquote, connecting the dots. What we're doing in general, though, is talking about, like in this first study, I mentioned the fact that the most reported factor is grays. Even though you have mantids involved, or you have Nordics involved, or reptilians, all these races seem to use grays. There must be like this universal store out there that all these different races go to, and they pick up a gray because they want to use this robotic biological entity type thing to interface with us because we're so damn mean. We're very aggressive, warlike people. And, I've had experiences tell me they bit these grays, or they ripped an arm off in one case. And so you can see why these other entities don't want to get near us in a lot of cases.
Well, we are pretty mean. We are pretty mean as a people, especially when we get backed into a corner. We're pretty vicious. Real quick, I just want to thank everybody in chat and people that are showing up and listening. It's awesome. If you go to paranormalirl.com, and go to the merch section, we have great T-shirts with UFOs and grays and ghosts on there. It helps support the show. Get yourself a cool T-shirt and help support us. JV, back to you.
All right, Les, I want to visit some of this discussion that took place in Congress yesterday and just get your opinion on it. Now, like I said in the opening of the program, I haven't been able to listen to the whole, I think it was in about an hour and 45 minutes. I listened to the first 20 minutes or so today, and I pulled a couple clips out, and I want to get your impression of these. Here is the first one. I'm not going to really introduce it. I'll just play it, and then we can talk about it on the other side.
Okay.
There it was. That's, in many cases, that's all that a report may include. And in many other cases, we have far less than this.
Okay, so that is, let's see, his name is Scott Bray. He is the U.S. Naval Intelligence Deputy Director, and he was playing a video, one of these videos that the military has of a UAP or UFO or whatever you want to use. I'm going to play this again, Les, and then I've actually got stills. I've got the individual frames of when you actually see whatever this object is. So I'm going to play this video again.
It goes by so fast.
That's, in many cases, that's all that a report may include. And in many other cases, we have far less than this.
Okay, so Les, I'm going to throw these individual frames up, but as I'm doing that, what were your impressions of maybe the video and also the statement surrounding the video? Because as you mentioned before, it was kind of smoke up our, and you don't have to say behinds on this program, you can actually say asses, because that's kind of what the government seems to be doing here.
Well, it's frustrating because, you and I and a lot of people in the UFO community are way beyond what happened in this meeting. I thought some of the questions, especially from Representative Gallagher, were really good. They were really pointed, and they did not get any answers. Whether or not they got them in the closed session is a whole nother ballgame, and hopefully so. They got better answers there. There's the military. They have a hell of a lot more information than what they talked about. For sure. I mean, we've got whistleblowers that have come forward. We've got, all kinds of data, much better than that particular clip that you showed, which is surprising that they picked that one to show. And then they picked out the one about the triangular craft that they said, well, that's because of a difference in the or the combination of the night vision scope and the SLR camera that caused that to triangulate that quote unquote drone. Maybe that was, and so that's why they picked that to soften the blow, so to speak. But unfortunately, I think that for people again like you and I, and we were way beyond all of this stuff that went on yesterday. We know more than what was talked about. But again, the questions from the representatives, and congressmen were good in a lot of cases, and the Maelstrom Air Force incident. You talk about a threat. Holy crap! If that's not a threat, I don't know what is. And they acted like they didn't know it. Well, maybe they didn't know about it because they only picked a certain window of time to look at. They didn't go back beyond 2004, which to me is also ridiculous. But I think they need to go back a little bit further and then they said they didn't have crashes. Well, if you go back to the 50s, there was crashes. And they were also they said that they didn't fire on UFOs. Well, they did back in the 50s and 60s. We've had many instances where planes have succumb to and even some of our missile tests. There's some incredible footage, and I can't think of the gentleman's name that has that shows one of our missiles being blown up by a UFO. So I think
Wow.
but is that something that's, something that we need to fear? I think what they're doing is they're showing us that they can do things like this, and that we should, be careful in what we try to do because they may intervene. And, I would love to see them intervene with this Ukrainian-Russian deal that's going on and blow the crap out of the Russians and get it over with.
That would be nice. You mentioned the green triangle video. I also have that clip too. I have this Scott Bray playing the video and then their explanation. I'm going to play that next here.
This was recorded while the U.S. Navy ship observed a number of small unmanned aerial systems in the area. And importantly, the video was taken through night vision goggles with a single lens reflex camera. These remained unresolved for several years. Several years later, and off a different coast, U.S. Navy personnel, again, in a swarm of unmanned aerial systems, and again through night vision goggles and an SLR camera, recorded this image. But this time, other U.S. Navy assets also observed unmanned aerial systems nearby, and we're now reasonably confident that these triangles correlate to unmanned aerial systems in the area. The triangular appearance is a result of light passing through the night vision goggles and then being recorded by an SLR camera.
Les, what's he saying there, and do you buy it?
That's garbledygook. That's pure garbledygook. I mean, this is like almost typical CIA. Look what's happening over here, but we'll look at my other hand. Type of stuff. It's possible, but he also says unmanned. How the hell does he know it's unmanned? I mean, that statement alone is baloney.
Right.
It could be manned. How does he know it's not? So and that's probably a lousy one to even present to the group like that. And I think that was more for consumption of the general populace, whoever is watching. Somebody told me the other day that probably so many people were watching now. The CIA and NSA have all our IP addresses now. So, but I'm sure they have that already. I'm sure they've got it already.
I have one more. I've got one more clip from this Scott Bray. He throws out some numbers here.
Since the release of that preliminary report, the UAP Task Force database has now grown to contain approximately 400 reports. The stigma has been reduced.
Do you think, Les, that the stigma has been reduced? And what does that number 400 mean to you? Does that sound like a drop in the bucket of what they actually have on file, or is that a number that you accept as being legitimate?
No, I think that's a drop in a bucket. I think that they have a hell of a lot more incidents that have been recorded and reported one way or another. I mean, you had the Nimitz incident, and after everybody landed and all the documentation, this group from the Air Force shows up, takes everything. So it's like, okay, folks, the Navy, it's the Navy's bag, and then all of a sudden these Air Force guys show up and take everything. I mean, it's funny in a way, a sad funny, unfortunately, that we've just been, rid around the block here a couple of times, and okay, folks, now we'll see you later.
Yeah. So, one of the questions that comes to mind then is, why now? Why are they doing this now? They're really they're doing this dog and pony show stuff. As you said, a lot of sleight of hand going on here. But why now, of all time?
Well, that's a good question, number one, and there's probably a couple of things going on. I think that with our ability to communicate like we've never been able to do before, we have the internet. You guys have your podcast here. There's a lot of shows like yours, and I, by the way, thank you guys for doing what you do. I think it's very important that we show the other side of the coin to people, and because it's important that you know. There's things that we just don't understand. We don't have the capability to understand it, or the language to even talk about it in a lot of cases. And so I think that the drumbeat, of shows like yours and the programs like the History Channel has and the Science Channel has, it's all starting to come to, I think critical mass, if you will, that these things are inevitably going to be to the point where it's you can't hide it anymore. You just can't. So I think there's a desensitization process going on now, and I thank Lou Elizondo for what he does and trying to bring this information out. And I think the fact that he's approached it in terms of a threat is probably the only way that our government is going to move forward. Because if everything was hunky-dory, they'd probably say, well, fine. As they reported, decades ago, oh, there's nothing going on. It's okay. Don't worry about it. And it was, put in a trash can, basically. Nobody cared. But of course, there were people caring, and they were collecting data, and it's been going on. It's never stopped.
Changing the topic a little bit, then I'm going to let Britt take it again. But one of the things that you've obviously kept track of and worked with people who have experienced is this concept of implants, actually little devices or we're not even sure, objects placed inside the bodies of some of these abductees. What is happening here? Is this something we need to be worried about? Obviously the idea of a foreign device being implanted into your body by an alien is a pretty frightful idea. But is it something we need to be afraid of?
Well, I think that this is your quote unquote proof of the fact that something is going on. The late Dr. Roger Lear did a tremendous job of removing these implants from 17 patients.
That's right.
And did a phenomenal analysis of these things, whereby there's no rejection by the body of these things. These ceramic biological devices that emit frequencies and deep space frequencies. And it goes on and on, the types of materials, the uranium-236 single isotope. And it just, so what is it? Is it some kind of a tracking device? Is it a monitoring device? Is it all the above? What we've done with people, matter of fact, I just got one today of a woman that wants to have a implant removed in the back of her neck because it basically is super sensitive. She can't touch the back of her head. Nobody can touch the back of her head because it's so sensitive. And so what do you do with that kind of a person? Well, first of all, you want to go to a medical doctor. And you certainly don't want to say, well, I've been abducted and they've implanted me. That's not going to get you too far. You tell them that there's something bothering you and you'd like to see what it is. And so a lot of times they'll do x-rays. People will do x-rays. The doctors will do x-rays. And they'll see that this device is in there, object, whatever it is. And in a lot of cases, then they can be removed. All right. But what we've also found with people that have had it removed, that subsequently it's reimplanted in a different place, even harder to get to. So now we start to advise people that, hey, if it doesn't bother you, just leave it alone. Don't mess with it anymore. As I said, Dr. Lear had samples of these things, and they are very interesting. So, and I'm sure the government has got this. I mean, Gary Nolan at Stanford University and Kit Green, ex-CIA guy, they've been working with experiencers, and they're well into all of this stuff. And I think that's the next thing that really has to happen, besides trying to understand what these objects are, but who the hell is driving them? Who's in control of these things, and who better to ask than the experiencers, because telepathically they can communicate. At this last symposium in Vegas, Nick Pope was the opening night speaker, and he talked about the UAP report, saying that he hopes it was either the Russians or the Chinese that had this technology, because we could pick up the phone and talk to them, right? And I cornered him later, and I said, Nick, you're really missing the boat here. I said, experiencers can talk to the extraterrestrials if that's what they are. They're having communication on a constant basis with these entities. And so I don't think it might be better to have it be that it is an alien technology, but that's a question that's certainly one that, again, I think our government knows. And this retired Israeli general Haim Eshed that came out with that book that said, "Oh yeah, we have an agreement with the aliens. We have bases on Mars. This thing has been going on for a long time." Okay, folks. So who's telling the truth, or who's blowing smoke up your tailpipe?
I tend to always gear towards the government's always blowing smoke up our tailpipes. So Les, I've been kind of monitoring chat, and there's some themes running in there, and I'm sorry, people, I didn't write down your names, but there's a couple questions. One of the most important questions I just stumbled across in there is, when these grays come down, do they eat tacos or wings? They're discussing that in chat.
No.
No.
No. It's strawberry ice cream. Strawberry ice cream. That's the big one.
That's their favorite.
Is that legit?
That's a story that goes way back. I don't even know where the hell it got started, but some experiencer started that years ago. That yes. Well, they came in and they went in my refrigerator and took the strawberry ice cream.
Wow.
All right. I hate strawberry ice cream. They can have it all. All right. So another little thing that's running. Yeah, not my thing. So another little thread that's kind of running through there. So when the government dude, what was his name, JV? Gertie?
The one that we just saw? Scott Bray.
Yeah.
Scott Bray.
Scott Bray. So they're in chat, they were talking about he's using very specific language. He's saying it was an manned aircraft because he didn't want to say there's aliens in it. So is it possible that the government is trying to be too accurate so that they can have plausible deniability on any of the other stuff?
Their choice of words, of course, has probably been thought about before they got involved with this. So semantics-wise, your guess is as good as mine. I think that they're just making an assumption because it's a drone, because they assumed it's a drone, that therefore there would not be a person involved with it. But they didn't talk about how big these things were, and so that's a factor. Because if this thing was as big as what some people have claimed that they were, that it's possible that it could be manned. So, yeah, it's...
Right. Well, but we also know from Men in Black that Orion's Belt was a whole universe in the size of a marble on our planet. So size and being manned is really not relevant. We don't know unless you can land that aircraft and board it or observe it or whatever. So I think they're just blowing smoke, and they just want... Yeah, they want the well, we have a term for them on the other show called NPCs, non-playable characters. People are just going through life and they catch a little bit of the news and they hear, oh, it was unmanned, so we don't have to worry about aliens on our planet. All right, one of the other things I saw was about these implants. So Bill Gates wants to implant all of us with a medical chip device that just monitors our body 24/7, and we get all this download, and it goes right to our doctors. We get the medicines that makes everybody else rich but us. Is it possible that Bill Gates is an alien?
Well, I think we're all aliens.
Good answer.
Think about it.
I would agree with that.
Good answer.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, and my last question, then JV, you can take us out of here. As we've been talking, it's like, well, the government knows, the government's doing. Why are you so confident that our government's competent enough to be able to do all the stuff that we think they're doing? They could be just as screwed up as the rest of us and just faking it.
No, I think that there's some really well-educated, very intelligent people that work for the government. I think that they understand pretty much how these objects function, and I've heard that from an insider. So that's a step forward. It's an interaction between the power source, which is not large, and the skin of the craft. And then so I think that we're getting closer to understanding these things, but we still aren't there yet. I mean, the physics that's involved is quite complicated, and it's something that we're not going to come to overnight. In the next 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, perhaps we'll figure out a lot more. But I think there's not the appropriate language or the technology yet to really fully understand this whole phenomena.
All right, I have a follow-up, JV. Okay, so just something that rolled through on chat that made me think. So someone said Bill Gates is a reptilian. Is it possible, because you were talking about the multiple races of aliens, and some are good, some are bad, some are in the middle, some don't care, et cetera, et cetera. Is it possible that, and I'm just going to use the reptilians because that's where we're going, that reptilians have kind of infiltrated us, and all this chaos we're seeing in our world right now, that they're really trying to shake us up and demoralize us, weaken us, so that they can then fully invade? Is it possible?
Well, I think that there's certainly been proponents of that fact, that these reptilians are here on Earth. They've been here before us, supposedly. They're kind of pissed off that we've taken over. And so that's one of the theories out there that's going on. And then there's other theories. I mean, we've had experiencers talk about how wonderful the relationship they have with the reptilians. So, are they being duped in some way, shape, or form? But the interesting thing with all of these cases, that people come out of these experiences with this worldview that is, hey, we need to be better stewards of the planet. We need to be better to one another. We need to be more loving, and those are wonderful, wonderful things to come away with. And if we all come away with that, someday we won't have any wars. We'll be able to figure out not to pollute the earth, and have clean drinking water and good air to breathe, and so it's all positive in that respect.
Couple quick questions, and I know we're almost at the end of our time with you, Les, but do you have any belief that we have shared technology with any alien races, whether it's our government or other governments?
Well, if Colonel Corso talks about that,
right?
That after the Roswell crash, that he back engineered, had put into the and that's where the whole military-industrial complex thing that Eisenhower talked about. You have to be careful because Bell Labs comes up with the transistor. Well, they were given a transistor from the crash, Velcro, night vision, a whole bunch of things that supposedly came out of that crash in Roswell in 47. So yeah, I think we definitely have some of that, and we have crashed material, which was another thing that came up in the meeting yesterday or day before, and they said, "Oh no, we don't have it." And it's a well-known fact that there's metamaterials out there that they've already analyzed these things, and nobody knows how the hell to put those materials together.
And you've been a researcher, a mentor for a lot of people. You've written about this stuff. You've investigated this phenomena, all sorts of different phenomena. But what can you, your personal experiences, do you have one experience above all others that you think is most eye-opening when it comes to all this? Where does that rest with you personally?
Yeah, I think that probably the experience which I talk about in the book is the couple that had this experience. They were picnicking in a state park north of Santa Cruz, and they saw this light over the ocean, and it finally came over their heads, and it was a triangular craft about the size of a small Learjet. And this happened basically a total of 7 times, and they start to come out of there, and then all of a sudden they don't remember a thing until 3 hours later, and they were in this restaurant, which was typically only 10 minutes away from where they were, but it was 3 hours of missing time. They eventually came to one of our support group meetings, and they developed a rash afterwards. And they went to a doctor, and the doctor said, well, I'm not sure what this is. And this area is loaded with poison oak and poison ivy and things of that nature. And so the doctor said, no, it wasn't that. And then they decided to go to another doctor, and the doctor said, well, maybe it's some kind of reaction, from something, perhaps maybe you ate or something. So anyway, they took a picture of it, and they brought it to the support group meeting. They showed it around the room, and almost without exception, everyone in that group had a similar rash at one time or another. And one of the people in the group said, well, I think I know what that's from, because they had a similar thing. And so we said, well, what do you think it is? He says it's a reaction to the fluid that they dip you in when they bring you on board the craft to sanitize you.
Oh, wow. Yikes.
So that was like, blew my mind. And then it's like, Wow. And it's, in the beginning, your window of believability is pretty small, but as you go through life and in these experiences, it gets wider and wider and wider.
Les, your book is called The Unknown Other. Is this a book that's consumable by people without much knowledge of the topic, or is this more for the expert community?
Yeah. No, I think it's a combination of things. It's a great primer, if you will, because it talks about all the aspects, the physical aspects of the experience, abduction phenomena, the psychological aspects of it. It talks about the UAP report. It talks about the research that's been done. It gives you about 25 stories from experiencers, their stories in the book, and their experience with OPUS. We talk about the various factors, whether people are fantasy prone, all the stuff that debunkers talk about, and I've tried to debunk the debunkers, so to speak. So it gives you a really broad brush view of the whole phenomena.
It's available on Amazon. Also, I know if you go to opusnetwork.org, I know there's a link there for the book as well. One more question about Opus. Les, who's the type of person that would benefit most from what Opus does? Give us an idea of what someone might be experiencing, maybe even on a daily basis, that Opus is there to help with.
Yeah, I think what we get the most of, as it turned out, because paranormal covers a lot of bases, okay, but what we found is that a lot of people having contact with non-human intelligence are the people that seem to be coming to us the most, and what a lot of them are looking for is to communicate with other people about their experience. So they want to tell their stories in a safe way. And that's the most important thing, because again, there's still a great reticence on these people's parts to tell their stories to people because they're afraid of the consequences. So it gives them a safe place to come and talk. And then there are other people that are looking for professional help, whether that's a hypnotherapist or a mental health practitioner, to take care of PTSD or other issues. But most of the time, they're looking to reduce stress. Okay, so they have major stress in their life. They're looking for an empathetic ear to really, listen to them in a neutral way, to understand what they're going through, and then to be able to then subsequently come to some kind of conclusion where they feel comfortable in getting back to their daily lives. And a lot of people have. They've integrated this experience just as you did, Britt, and so it's really an amazing process.
Again, the website is opusnetwork.org. There's plenty of information there about what the group does, how it can help, and how you can even contribute if that's something that you're of mind to do, less to help the cause, right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Yes, we depend on donations. And so as a nonprofit, we're a 501c3 recognized by the good old IRS. So,
well, thank you. Thank you for your time tonight and so much great information, Les. It was a real eye-opening discussion. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much, JV. Thank you, Britt. And thank you again for what you guys do. And I really thank you for having me tonight.
All right. Well, that's a great conversation. Again, the website is opusnetwork.org. Britt, I spent a great deal of time on there. They actually have links also to some interviews that they do as part of their work. Some really good stuff there. Yeah. opusnetwork.org.
Yeah, it's been around a long time, too. I didn't realize how long it's been around, but man. Yeah, they're doing some good work out there, and they've got. It would just be interesting to be. We all have been in this for so long. I would love if there was a way for us to take all these stories and categorize it and put it into a spreadsheet and
like kind of a master database.
So we can figure out the trends in the. What's happening the most, and maybe we were able to decipher. In this part of the world, this seems to be what's happening. The grays are over here, but over here we got a lot of reptilian reports or whatever. And it almost like kind of how humans are geographically spread out the way we are our
demographically.
Heritage, what is it? Our
demographically.
Thank you, demographically. Maybe the aliens are the same way on the planet. Or
well, I think that's part of the work that Opus is doing. I also think MUFON does some of that work. I just think, as we've talked about tonight, there's been such a stigma associated with this for so long that a lot of the information is just being kept to, people are keeping that to themselves, or as we know, the government is keeping it to itself. And as this opens up, this might become a reality and more possible. So thank you, Electric Sheep, for that super chat. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. That is a big help. And also the Grouch on Foxhole. I think this is the third or fourth contribution the Grouch has made tonight. So I wouldn't call the Grouch a grouch. He's actually a very amenable guy. And thank you so much for those contributions. They're very much appreciated.
How dare you assume his pronouns?
You know what? As I said all along, I use the pronouns that I know. And don't. I do want to mention one thing. I am going to go through the whole hearing that took place in Congress yesterday, and I'm gonna spend some time and pull out some more clips for future episodes. I do want to point something out, though. This is what it looked like. So there was like 5 congressmen there, women. Like this wasn't. I don't think
that's the way it always looks, JV.
This wasn't taken super seriously by Congress. I don't think.
I'm an avid watcher of C-SPAN, and that's the way they mostly look. These Congress people. They think they're better than us. They already know everything. They only want to be there to showboat and get their face on camera to make certain points. And it's just a big waste of money. We really don't need the federal government. We should just defund it and get rid of it and go back to the states and save ourselves a hell of a lot of money. That's my thought.
Welcome to Paranormal IRL, folks. It's good to see some folks returning to the program here from all over. Shh, don't tell anyone. I got to keep my rep up. There you go. Okay, how about a couple trivia questions to end the night? How's that sound?
Hey, I have a video that I'm kind of curious, paranormal or not. What do you think? Paranormal or not? I'm going to do it.
Sure, that works. Tell me when you're ready.
All right, I'm gonna quick play it right now. Paranormal or not?
Catching my ball.
He's not catching ball with you?
Yeah.
Do you need someone to play ball?
Baba, it's gonna be broken.
I love how he instantly goes in reverse. The look on his face, like, what the hell is going on here? I'll replay it. But JV, what do you think? Paranormal or not?
He's not
Play it
catching
again.
ball with you?
Yeah.
You need somebody to play ball?
Baba.
Okay, so do you have an answer for this, or do you not have an answer? In other words,
No.
are you quizzing
I
us?
literally just saw this right.
Okay.
Yeah, I literally just saw this right before the show came on, and I
gonna-
figured this stuff is rolling through my feed. I figured we talk about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what I absolutely think this is. If there wasn't a hallway directly across the door from where that refrigerator is, I would be a little more curious about this. I think this is a spouse. Yeah, I zoomed in. I think this is a spouse playing a prank on the guy because I don't think either he's a really good actor or he was genuinely going, what the hell's going on here? So I think what this was a spouse or a girlfriend or whatever playing a trick, because that hallway right across from the door makes it easy to play that trick. That's my opinion.
Yeah, maybe you might be right. I think that's kind of where I lie with this thought process.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was funny to watch the guy freak out. I don't think he was on it.
I don't think he was either, because he couldn't be that good of an actor. I mean, he really genuinely was like, what the hell? And then he walks toward it and it happens again. Yeah.
Yeah, but you had the kid going, he won't play with my ball. He's like, he won't? What? Looks back. I thought it was pretty hilarious. But for whatever reason, these things are rolling through my feed, so I'm going to try for each show and try and find one just to bring on that weekend.
Yeah, just edit it a little bit. Like, zoom in on it so I don't have to do it here live when you prep them. Just make them larger. Makes it.
Oh, this was like literally right before the show. I was like, oh, I'm going to grab this.
Okay.
Or we just present it as it is, and we just
but if it's hard to see. You have to remember, people are looking at these on phones generally. You got to. If the more we can fill the screen with it, the better. That's what I'm saying.
The phone is this. Copy that.
Okay. All right. So now, do you want to do a couple trivia questions?
Yeah, why not?
All right. So Grouch says, you think a string is attached to the handle of the fridge? Yeah, I think. It maybe not the handle, could be underneath, could be anywhere, but it's going from the door into that hallway, and there's somebody in there pulling it. And obviously, the fridge is set up so it closes automatically. They do that with gravity. It's an amazing concept.
Yes.
So this was a prank being played on the guy, and it's not a ghost. And hell, why not? Good video. Go viral with it. I want to know. The more important thing is I want to know what game he was playing, because clearly he was gaming with that headset on at the computer. Yes. Either that or he was in a sex chat room or something. But I think he was probably gaming.
Oh Jesus!
maybe that's what it was.
I would go with gaming.
Well, I mean, if he's not actually doing anything, but just the chat part of it, maybe that's why the wife was getting back at him with the ghost trick, because that's what he was up to.
Oh, maybe.
So maybe that's what's going on here.
I'm wondering, with as fast as he reversed back over that gate, I think he might have pooped himself a little bit.
Yeah, well, I can understand why he would have been kind of shocked by all that. Obviously, he heard the noise the first time. He didn't really know what happened. He turned around and starts walking in there, and the door opens by itself. Yeah, that's going to freak you out a little bit until you get, and then you get your senses, and you're like, wait a second. And then you walk back in, and you see the string.
What's going on?
You see the string attached, and you find Hilda in the closet over there pulling it. So, yeah.
Hilda, huh? Okay, Hilda.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Is that an Italian name?
No, it's not. It's
like
more
Johnson.
It's more, right, just like Johnson. It's as Italian as Johnson is. Could be good acting and some green screen rope. That's true. They could have gone. I mean, people will do a lot of things for clicks on TikTok or wherever. So I'll tell you, that doesn't surprise me either, that it's really a full setup. But I think it was probably a prank.
I got an education on how much money, like if you can get a video to go 70,000 views type thing, that's worth several $100s.
Yeah. Yeah, and you do that on a regular basis. You get a million views on some of these things.
Yeah. Yeah, you're making bank. YouTube famous.
Mm-hmm. Well, when we actually get out and do some investigations and we capture some legitimate phenomena on video, those should get some pretty good clicks, I hope.
I hope so.
Yeah. All right. Trivia question number one.
Put the hammer
folks.
down.
Yeah. Trivia question number one. Which one-time ruler of England did the famous poet Percy Bysshe? Man. Which one-time ruler of England did the famous poet Percy Bysshe Shelley refer to as a, quote, old, mad, blind, despised, and dying king? And it's not Joe Biden, because he didn't rule England at any point. Which one-time ruler
King
of
Henry
England?
VIII.
Okay, which one-time ruler of England did the famous poet Percy Bysshe Shelley refer to as an old, mad, blind, despised, and dying king? George something. It's always a good guess to say George or Henry or Richard. Or
yeah, pretty much.
I think,
but Henry VIII was the one that lopped off all the heads, right?
Yeah, he had 6 wives. He beheaded 5 of them, I believe. Gene had asked earlier if we have a Discord. We don't have a Discord. I still don't get the need for a Discord. I just don't understand it. My son has one for his gaming channel and all this, and he keeps saying you need one. I just don't understand what the value is. If people want to chat, they can chat here. I don't get what the value of the Discord edition is.
I think because it's verbal.
I mean, it's verbal
as opposed to typing.
You mean you can chat? You can go actually in it and chat like audio.
Yeah, I think that's
audio chat as opposed to text chat. Elvis was king.
Wrong.
Elvis breaking the image. Elvis was king of rock and roll. Absolutely, but he was
king
never
of rock and roll. Yes,
he was never king of England. That's the difference here.
Brainpot said his Discord was nuked.
Okay, so a Rebel says that the reason you have it is so you can chat, and Lala says it too. The reason you have it is so you can chat when we aren't live. So it's chat that's 24/7, I guess. So people can jump in there anytime who are fans of the program and chat. So okay, that makes a little bit of sense.
All right.
That makes a little bit of sense. You can stream movies on there too.
So
okay.
So would that mean that we would do this? And just the people who are Discord familiar, we would do the show, but we would monitor the Discord chat, and everybody would be in there. Is that how it would work while the show is on? So we wouldn't pay attention. We wouldn't have to.
I mean,
pay
one advantage to that is you don't have a lot of separate chats.
That's true, because right now we're working. We only
have 2
40
going.
and
3.
Voxel.
3, I think.
Yeah.
Although we don't watch the Twitch chat. We're there, but we don't watch it.
Yeah. I mean, but is that how that would work? We condense them all into one, and then
I guess so.
Can you super chat in Discord? Can you?
Well, see, that's the difference.
We need cookies in Discord.
Ultimately, we need those contributions to keep the program going. Our philanthropic days are numbered here because this is getting really expensive.
Yeah.
To do the software alone. It's crazy. All right. So again, back to the trivia question. Which one-time ruler of England did the famous poet Percy Bysshe, and it might be Bysshe, I don't know how you pronounce this word, Bysshe. I'm going to say Bysshe. Shelley referred to as an old, mad, blind, despised, and dying king. The answer. Did anybody give us a real answer, by the way?
I don't know.
Let's see. Edward the Sixth. Henry VIII, I'm Henry VIII, I am.
I am.
George III, King James II, John.
Rain said that guy with leprosy.
We're going with Edward VI. A few have said that. Okay, the answer is, well, it happens to be the King of England that the United States was born from. You remember who that was, Britt? Who we declared our independence from?
Edward?
No.
Was it Edward?
Oh, Britt.
Oh, King George.
King George III. King George III, who ruled England during the American Revolution. King George III suffered from paranoia and hallucinations, among other ailments, thus earning the mad adjective in Shelley's description. There you go. There you go. King George.
All right.
All right, second and...
BrainPod is spewing a lot of information on Discord and Guilded and...
What's Guilded?
You can monetize.
Is Guilded...
Guilded's a Discord offshoot.
Oh, it's a Discord competitor or like Discord add-on.
Discord competitor. He said that Discord is he said they're a-holes. Whatever that means. He got nuked off of there for some reason. But he did say that Gilded is monetizable.
Okay, all right.
It's about building a community that you can interact with 24/7.
Yeah. You got to remember who you're talking to. You're talking to JV and Britt here, whose technology ends at the point where we can get this show on to work, actually make it work.
Basically.
Anything beyond that is a bonus. All right. What?
Yeah, and then I go to bed at 8.
That's the other problem. That's the other thing. When he says 8, he means 8. Okay, here we go. The first I'm really having trouble here reading.
English.
I know. The first Toy Story film features original music by Randy Newman. But Steve Jobs, the film's executive producer, originally wanted someone else to write the music. What famous musician did Jobs want? I didn't realize Steve Jobs was the executive producer for Toy Story.
Maybe, apparently.
That's pretty cool.
Rain is also saying that Rain said that Discord banned most of us, whoever that is, most of us from Rain.
Oh, really? Rain, is that is that a political us, or is that something else? Or is it a paranormal us? Who are they banning? The first Toy Story film features original music by Randy Newman. You know that song, "You've Got a Friend," or "You're my friend, best friend," or whatever. That's "You Got a Friend in Me." Yeah, that's Randy Newman. He sings it too. And you know the song "Short People"?
Yes.
You know, "Short People Got Nobody." Yeah. That's a Randy Newman song as well, just so we're all on the same page.
Right. But he wanted someone different.
Right. Steve Jobs, who was the film's executive producer, originally wanted someone else to write the music. What famous musician did Jobs want? I'm going to say Bruce Springsteen. I have no idea. I'm going to say Bruce Springsteen.
I was thinking Phil Collins.
Okay, I don't know. Phil Collins. That's an interesting. Have you seen Phil Collins lately? He looks like he's really on death's door.
Oh, he looks old.
Horrible.
Yeah.
So let me see.
Retired.
Deidre says she hates Randy Newman. Randy Newman wrote a song called "Mama Told Me Not to Come." Well, Danny Elfman, but Danny Elfman's not a pop songwriter. He's a composer. More than he composes, scores,
but he was an Oingo Boingo. I mean,
not writes. That's true. Anyway, back to what I was saying.
Sorry.
Randy Newman wrote a song called "Mama Told Me Not to Come," which was made popular by Three Dog Night. It's a great song. Randy Newman is actually a really good songwriter. I'm not as impressed by him as a performer. Iowa, right. I saw that, and I haven't had a chance to do anything with it. So I did see your email, and I looked at it quickly, and that's really amazing work, by the way. I'm not so sure we need that much Brit in our faces, but it was.
What?
I haven't had a chance. I haven't had a chance to do anything about it. I've been quite busy with.
What do you mean? Did she make a T-shirt?
Iowa's a he, and
did she make a T-shirt?
Iowa's a he. Iowa Joe. We played Call of Duty with Iowa Joe. You remember?
Oh, I thought you said I don't remember now.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Anyway.
Yeah, Three Dog Night, great group, Randall. Love Three Dog Night. Anyway, okay, so the answer to this question.
Lost Mom comes in with Billy Joel.
That's a good guess. That's a really good guess. Yeah. Okay. The answer is, okay. I'm gonna give some hints here, see if anybody can get it. This is a pop or maybe rock music icon. This is one of the.
Has it been said yet in chat?
I haven't seen it.
Rock pop icon.
Rock music icon, kind of maybe the granddaddy of them all.
Are we talking like a Rolling Stones level icon?
I would say probably a tier higher than the Rolling Stones.
Oh, wow. When were they big? Were they 80s, 90s, 2000s?
I don't know if I want to answer that because it might make it too easy. But I will say it's, as I said, one of the granddaddies of rock and roll.
The older.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't put Elton John above the Rolling Stones. In my hierarchy, Elton John does not top the Rolling Stones. Elton John's obviously hugely
Elton John's
successful.
big.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put him over the Rolling Stones in hierarchy.
Michael Jackson was dead at the time, wasn't he?
Nah, I'm not sure. I don't think he was dead yet, but it's not Michael Jackson. That'd be a good guess. Hey, D, I did get that. I did get that pamphlet. It's still in the plastic. I haven't opened it yet. Scooter, you say McCartney. Actually, McCartney says he was influenced by this artist. If that helps. Yeah, you guys are all saying the Beatles over there. The Beatles are actually say they were influenced by this artist.
Wow.
If that, I mean, that
Eagles?
So, the Beatles being influenced by the Eagles?
I don't know. Just,
Well, I mean, the Eagles came along about 10 years after
they
the
came
Beatles.
along after, though, didn't they?
Yeah, about 10 years later.
Guess that wouldn't work.
And they certainly weren't not nearly as, I mean, Eagles a great group, don't get me wrong, but they're nearly not that successful. It's not
Haas Black Silver just said that Jobs started Pixar.
Oh, that's cool. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I actually, somewhere in the back of my mind, I think I know there's a connection. I remember that. Yeah, not Little Richie, not Chuck Berry.
Little Richie, Chuck Berry.
Yeah, no, those are great guesses.
Well, Elvis would have been dead.
Elvis was dead. Yeah, Elvis was.
Are you going to say
dead.
the name? We're all going to go, duh.
Well, maybe, because this is. I mean, if you have to go through the top 5, and I'm not going to say they're not necessarily hit makers, but the most influential people in pop rock music. This name has got to be in there. Yeah, it's not Jeff Lynne. It's not ELO. Jeff Lynne, very influential as a producer.
But it's before the Beatles.
I'm not going to say if it's before the Beatles, but the Beatles say they were influenced by this artist. Not Jimmy Page. Good guess. Wow, I didn't think it would take. Jim Morrison died in 1973. What year was it that Jim Morrison died? So it wasn't Jim Morrison, and he certainly. I mean, Doors obviously were an interesting point in rock history, but they weren't that influential. Beach Boys, good guess. Bob Seger, no. I'm just really surprised nobody's come up with this name. I mean, this is a household name. No one's
All
even
right, well,
said
give
it.
us more clues.
Let's see. What else can I? This artist recently won.
Still alive.
Yeah. Recently won an award, like an international award. I don't remember if it was a Nobel Prize? I think it was a Nobel Prize. That should make it really easy, actually, now that I said that. This artist won a Nobel Prize, which is crazy.
Huh. Are they an American band or an English band?
It's an American artist.
American artist that's still alive today, just won an award, but was big enough in the Beatles days to influence them.
Yeah, you pretty much summed it up.
And it's rock, not country. Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh my God, your perspective on music is messed up. Somebody has gotten the answer. I'm not going to say who it was yet.
Stevie Wonder?
As people are still guessing.
Oh, David Bowie?
Yeah, seriously, your music perspective is way off. The Beatles could give a shit about David Bowie. First of all. Secondly, Bowie didn't really come on the scene until the 70s. Wow.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm horrible with music and names and all that shit. Grand Funk Railroad I see coming through.
And words. Somebody did get the answer here. It's somebody who
Ice-T.
Oh my God! Now you guys are just being ridiculous. Tony Bennett. That's a good guess. Right time frame, I suppose, but I don't know that. Maybe the Beatles were influenced by Tony Bennett. Yeah. Now we got a couple folks who are onto it now.
Buddy Holly?
No, not Buddy Holly died in 1958, 9.
Oh, that's true.
Remember the day the music died? Bye Bye Miss American Pie. Yeah. That was about Buddy Holly and others dying in a plane crash.
It's not Stevie Wonder, is it?
No, not Stevie Wonder.
All right, I give up.
Now we've got another person who's realized what the answer is.
Bob Dylan?
It's Bob Dylan, Britt Griffith. It's Bob Dylan.
Wow. I didn't realize Bob Dylan was that old.
Are you serious? He was performing folk music in the early 60s, and the Beatles were... in fact, the Beatles actually became songwriters because of Bob Dylan.
Oh, wow. Had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
I don't know this shit.
So reading the answer here is Bob Dylan. Jobs tried to convince Toy Story producer Ralph Guggenheim to get Dylan for the soundtrack. But the opportunity went to Newman, resulting in the famous song, You've Got a Friend in Me.
I wonder how different that would have been with a Bob Dylan.
Yeah, Randall, you're right. Bob Dylan is mentioned in American Pie. The song American Pie, though, was really written about, when they say the day the music died, it was written about when Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper died in a plane crash on the way to a concert. And I think it was Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings or Merle Haggard. I'm forgetting who the other one was. Were supposed to be in the plane, but they decided to drive instead, and they were spared. They didn't die in the crash, obviously.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that'd have been crazy if all of them went out.
Yeah.
At once.
Yeah, that's why it was the day the music died.
Oh, all right.
Yep. Anyway,
There
so
we go.
I hope everybody had fun. Bob Dylan with his deal with the devil. The Beatles followed suit. Okay. There are people that think that, Brain Pod, for sure. I'm not one of them, but there are some. There are people that think that was all a deal with the devil. Don McLean.
Deal with the devil.
Don McLean, American Pie. A lot of people have asked Don McLean what American Pie means, and his answer is, it means I'll never have to work again in a day in my life. He's made so much money on that
damn
song.
Smart.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a great song, though. All right, guys. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Done?
Yeah, we are. We've been done for a while, actually. Wait a second. What the heck's going on? Can you talk for just a second?
What do you want me to talk about? Oh, everybody smash like buttons, subscribe to channels. That'd be awesome. And again, if you go to Paranormal IRL, paranormalirl.com, there's a merch link on the page that takes you to our little t-shirt store on the old Teespring. And we have some great paranormal t-shirts there. If you could go buy some, that would help support the show. We would greatly appreciate it. And you get a pretty cool t-shirt out of it. That helps a lot. And so we're back next Tuesday. We're not here tomorrow. But Tuesday we'll be back. And I'm vamping as I'm looking for my damn calendar to tell you who the hell is going to be on next Tuesday. We're having, Dr. Scott. We have Dr. Scott. Scott talks about his own personal shared NDE, near-death experience, as well as the lessons learned from the millions of NDEers can be learned and incorporated into our lives in the physical.
Yeah.
These lessons change people's perspectives and allow them to realize more fulfilled lives.
Yeah, Brain Prod. I'm not disputing what you're saying. I'm just saying that it's not something that I know a lot about, and the little bit I've heard about it, I haven't really bought into the theory, but I'm not disputing what you're saying. Okay, so Merle Haggard is excellent. Rebel, I really enjoy Merle Haggard. One of my songs I always play when I do acoustic appearances, I play Mama Tried. It's one of my favorite songs. Great Merle Haggard tune. My parents used to sing it all the time, which is one of the reasons I like it. Thanks for being here, everybody, and thanks for the contributions, whether it was a generous super chat or a generous contribution in Foxhole. We appreciate it all. As Britt said, visit the website, click through to the merch page. Check out the merch. That helps us, and it gives you some cool things to wear as well. We really like it when you do that. But that's going to do it for now, and we will see...
BrainPod.
Oh, thank you, BrainPod. Appreciate that. What a good show, guys. Message me here. Okay, awesome. Thanks so much. We'll see everybody next time. We'll be, as Britt said, you were here next Tuesday, so we'll see you then.
Told of a creature that was 6.
We don't need to hear that again.